Welcome back to the podcast. This is the Weeknight Mysteries podcast. My name is Uras. I am your host, and I'm here with my co host, Rain. How are you today?
Hello, everyone, once again. I'm completely okay. How are you today?
I'm good. Today we're going to be talking about one of the cases that had been suggested by our listener, Miss Bella Epoch. How should we
We
pronounce it?
literally just Googled it 2 seconds before recording, and I also forgot about it. Epoch, I
Epoch.
think.
It's Miss Bella.
Miss Bella, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Miss Bella. Terry McSpadden's strange disappearance that took place in 2007. It's an interesting case. We have, I would say, one person of interest, at least, that has been established by the law enforcement. And the case happened some time ago, almost 20 years ago, 2007, in the UK. We're going to get into it. Let me tell you more about the story. Terry McSpadden, he was 24, and he was a well-known local in Wisbech, or Wisbech? I think it's Wisbech.
Wisbech?
I think it's Wisbech. Wisbech.
Oh, that sounds really wrong.
Wisbech. It's how we're gonna have to do this one right now. He was a fun-loving social young man. Terry enjoyed going out on weekends, and he was known for his easygoing personality. Despite a few minor convictions, including one that actually restricted him from being in Wisbech on Friday and Saturday nights, that's an interesting, restriction in my opinion. He had a reputation for being a hard worker as well. He was employed by the Economy Windows. It's a company that were basically manufacturing and installing windows, as far as I can understand. And he often worked extra hours, including the weekends sometimes, in order to support his two young children. At the time of his disappearance, his two young children were ages 2 and 4. He had a boy and a girl. It's actually quite sad because I went on the Facebook page dedicated to Terry's disappearance, and actually even recently I've seen his children greeting Terry Happy Father's Day. And
Oh, that's so sweet.
and it's kind of sad because now his kids, I think, are 19 and 21. I think his youngest son, well, his only son, is now expecting a baby anytime soon. So it's kind of sad to think about that his children are still wondering what happened to his father all these years later. They probably barely remember him. But yeah, that's all we have to go on with right now. Shortly before Terry went missing in 2007, he was in a turbulent relationship with his girlfriend, Becky. She was also the mother of the previously mentioned children, so they had kids together. They were on again, off again type of a couple, and Terry moved in and out of, I believe, Becky's home multiple times. During rough patches, he would stay with a longtime friend named Jonathan Porter, who is an interesting character. He is the person of interest in this case, who had been a constant presence in Terry's life. So apparently, Jonathan Porter, I didn't find much information on him, honestly, but from what I'm gathering, they were kind of like almost best friends. Did you kind of like get the same vibe?
Yes, but I was not able to find any pictures or any information regarding this Jonathan guy, considering that he is very sketchy in this case.
I did find a little bit information about Jonathan. That's later on, but the information that I found is could potentially not be credible, so I don't want to delve too much into it just now. Terry's relationship with this guy, Jonathan Porter, may have been more complicated than it initially appeared. Terry once told his mother, Helen, that Jonathan had followed him to a nightclub once. It's so basically how I know this is because Terry's mother, Helen, she had done a podcast interview in the past, and she basically described that whole, let's say, situation. And she said that at some point, Terry told her that when he was, I think Terry was in a nightclub with some girl that he just met, and he walked back home, I believe Jonathan was following them. So that's something like that. But they were living in the same house, so I don't know how much that would be considered following. It could just be like.
Could it be just friends hanging out together?
But apparently it was strange enough for Terry to mention this to his mother. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah, definitely.
Another incident happened when Jonathan, according to Terry, because Terry told this to his mother, Jonathan went through Terry's phone back in 2007, and it got into the point where Terry had to change his PIN number on the phone. So we're talking about 2007 phones. So they don't really have all the stuff that we have right now. What could be on it? Like messages, contacts.
The basic stuff, basically.
The basic stuff. So why would you go through that? Maybe to like read some messages?
I'm thinking. Try to picture yourself in their shoes. Would you grab your friend's phone? And if so, why?
I would never grab it.
What would be the, maybe you're in a desperate situation. Maybe you want to call someone or something.
I think it wasn't that Jonathan wanted to call someone. I think it was Jonathan going through the phone, like trying to gather information, which is kind of strange. And I would never see me doing that.
Yeah, me too.
So I think this whole dynamic is kind of weird.
It's already getting weird, yeah.
It's like a weird best friend type of dynamic. They're like
Stalker thing.
They're living in the same place, but they're just dudes. Why is Jonathan so
into Terry's business?
If they're just dudes, And then this is not even the worst incident. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm gonna bring up right now. There was a disturbing incident that it's very confusing, and I tried finding more information about it, but this is very strange. Terry, 2 weeks before he goes missing in 2007, very convenient also like time period, like just 2 weeks before he goes missing, he apparently sits in the couch at home, and he had a couple beers.
Wait, when you said at home, you meant in their place, right? Jonathan and Terry's place, not in his parents' place or anywhere else.
Yeah, very good point. Correct.
Okay.
That's what I mean. So Terry has a couple of beers, and then he dozes off on the couch. Next thing he knows, he can't breathe, and he starts panicking. And all of a sudden, Jonathan appears and cuts Terry open, because at that point Terry had been wrapped up in industrial style cling film. I have it in the file if you would take a look, and I'm also going to be sharing this on the YouTube channel as always. Industrial style cling film, I had no idea what it was until I googled it, and when I googled it, it brought back memories to me, like pretty bad.
It's a packaging thing.
Yeah, it brought back pretty bad memories, honestly, back when I was working at like this kind of like shady warehouse in the UK, actually. Surprise, surprise. I used to wrap stuff up in that thing. It was like, I would get my fingers like scratched up because you have to. I'm not even gonna go into that. This is not my background.
Tell us about the texture and the material. Is it thick plastic?
It's thick plastic. It's like, if you really, honestly, if you wrap someone up in it, they're not gonna get out. It's not like one of those safety wraps for your packages, like bubble, what is that called?
The bubble wraps.
But it's not like bubble wraps. If you tightly wrap someone up in cling film, they're not getting out. Like they're not getting out. It's so tight because you would wrap up like big pallets of like items,
Boxes and boxes.
Yeah, boxes and boxes that would be put inside of trucks. So I think it's very bizarre.
I don't even know how he ended up. Was it the whole body that was wrapped?
I feel like it was the whole body that was wrapped up, and there was Jonathan in the house who cut him open. And so there was never any explanation officially who exactly wrapped Terry up. It's just that Terry was very shaken by that experience. So the way that this information has been like written down online, and I think how Terry's mother Helen described it, I didn't really get the sense that they are immediately saying that Jonathan was the one wrapping him up. So they kind of left, I think, space for a possibility that someone went inside of that house as Terry was passed out on a couple of beers and wrapped him up.
I'm wondering how passed out he was to be wrapped inside a cling film.
And Terry was an avid, let's say, drinker. So those 2 beers wouldn't really
do as much
for him to be so passed out. He was a 6'1" guy, so he was kind of like a tall guy. He had a big body, so those 2 beers.
It's probably just a chill time,
So I don't know what to make of that one.
I honestly couldn't wrap my
bizarre.
head around it.
It's crazy, and we're gonna stop at that a little bit later on. Let's jump to the night that Terry vanished. Let's move 2 weeks after, like into the future, after that incident with the cling film. On Thursday, March 1st, 2007, Terry was last seen leaving a pub called the Locomotive Pub in Wisbech at 11 p.m. Now, let's remember that Terry, due to some, I think, public drinking incident or something like that, I couldn't really completely verify, that happened in the past, he was wearing a ankle tag, which he had to wear because it was, I guess, tracking if he's at home during Friday and Saturday nights. Remember, he can't go outside to Wisbech or actually leave his home in general.
Do you have
Friday
any idea
nights,
why?
No, due to some drinking incident, and I think there were more people involved, and I think Terry's mom said that he was just somehow there and he was part of like a group of people, and they all got reprimanded.
Okay, so I'm assuming there was a big commotion.
Something like that.
Okay, so at least we know that he was being tracked, monitored by the police.
No, not really, because that electronic tag on his ankle, it didn't have any GPS attached to it. It was basically pinging the receiver within Jonathan's house. So basically there was a receiver in Jonathan's house, and the only thing that electronic tag could tell you is if Jonathan left the apartment or not. So he had curfew. He could not leave Friday and Saturday nights.
What would happen if he didn't go back home after the curfew?
Well, that information would be sent to police.
Oh, that's it. It's not the kind wherein he's gonna get buzzed.
Electrocuted?
Yeah.
No, I
I
don't.
was assuming something like that.
I don't think they do that to humans.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of movies where they would do that, and so I'm assuming all ankle thingies are doing that.
Oh, they're gonna start like electrocuting.
Yeah, like you're not home by this hour, curfew's done. Zzz.
I mean, that's kind of hardcore.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't do that. I think it would just send out like information to police that he left the house when he was not supposed to leave. Okay.
Okay, that's a little more boring than I expected. But anyways, let's go back to the case.
So let's go back to the case. So this is why he went out on Thursday night, because on Thursday night he could go out. So he went out on Thursday night to the Locomotive pub, and he left the pub just before 11 p.m. when the pub was closing. He was playing darts, and his roommate Jonathan was also there. 2 hours later, at approximately 1 a.m., he was captured on CCTV withdrawing cash from a Tesco ATM, also in Wisbech. Jonathan was with him at the time, as we can see from the CCTV footage. After that, Terry was supposed to return to the nearby village of Elm because him and Jonathan, they were actually living in Elm, which is a small village only 2 miles away from Wisbech. So it's kind of like walking distance, you know. It's a little bit of a walk, but you could still make it there. He never showed up home. Oh no, he showed up home. Well, we don't know exactly what happened next. Hear me out. What happened next? What we think happened is that, well, this is the story. Terry didn't appear for work the next day. That's what we know. Because it was Friday, it was still a working day. It was highly unusual for him because he was a person who was very reliable when it came down to his work ethic. His bike was also missing. Terry was not driving a car at that time. I don't know if he had driver's license or not, but he was always driving his black bike everywhere. Police later discovered that there was some suspicious activity involving his phone because there were text messages sent on Friday in the early morning hours, I believe shortly after he was seen at the ATM withdrawing some money. One of the basically 2 text messages were sent from his phone. They never recovered his phone, I believe, but they were able to get remote access to those text messages, you know, somehow maybe through like the phone provider or something, you know. One of the messages were sent to his employer, and he was saying that he is quitting and he's not going to show up for work, that he quit his job.
Interesting.
Yeah. Another text message was sent to Becky, his girlfriend and the mother of his 2 children. He basically said, "Tell the kids I love them and I'm not coming back. This is all your fault, you B." Both messages were completely out of character, and Terry's mother, Helen, strongly believes that they were not written by her son.
Do you think there's a possibility that this was just due to intoxication?
Man, that's actually a good point, a very good question. I mean, I think there's a possibility.
There is, but I can't see myself texting my employer, "Hey, I'm quitting," when I'm really, really drunk. It's a little too specific.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna dissect it in a bit. After the 2 text messages were sent, the phone was switched off immediately because I found some information that a man by the name of Ian was Terry's boss at work. He received Terry's message that, you know, Terry is quitting his job. And right after receiving that message, he immediately tried calling Terry to check what's happening, like, what are you doing? And the phone just was turned off after those messages. And the case went cold. They talked to Jonathan because he was the last person who had seen Terry. And Jonathan told police initially that himself and Terry, they both returned home at around 1:30 a.m. on Friday in the early morning hours. He claimed he locked the door of the house and he went to bed with the keys, that he had the keys on him. And he said that he remembered seeing Terry leave for work in the morning at around 7:10 a.m. Now, this was very strange because let's remember that Terry was wearing a tag on his ankle, and data from this electronic tag showed that Jonathan remained inside of the house until 8:43 a.m., which completely contradicted what Jonathan told police, because Jonathan told police that he left by 7:10, but the tag is showing that Terry did not leave until 8:43. I tried to dig into those electronic tags a little bit because my first assumption was maybe there's a chance there's some sort of a delay, like the tag only like updates every couple hours, and so it wouldn't be super accurate. But from my research online, these electronic tags, they are very accurate up to the like maybe a second or a minute. So that's so bizarre, and this detail doesn't make much sense. The tag was not tampered with as well. The providers of this electronic tag, they say that they could certainly indicate if someone had been tampering with the electronic tag, because it would be super convenient for someone who has that tag to just take it off, go outside and come back and put it back on. So I think they are designed in such a way to immediately alert the company that someone is tampering with it, trying to take it off. So they said that they could know, they knew for a fact that it was not taken off. So that was weird. Weeks later, a witness came forward, and this witness claimed that they had seen Terry in a Ford Mondeo parked near Jonathan's home, sitting beside a woman and wearing a baseball cap on that same Friday morning. However, this lead went cold, but in 2011, when the case was reopened, they were able to rule out that particular sighting. It was someone else with a woman in the car, just conveniently parked outside of Jonathan's home. And when they reopened the case in 2011, things took a crazy turn, because now our boy, Jonathan Porter, started changing his story. He was re-interviewed, and now he gave a completely different version of events. Now Jonathan claimed that Terry he basically went into some other direction entirely. He started talking about how Terry had physically assaulted Jonathan's girlfriend's young daughter, and that Jonathan took Terry to the Wisbech police station to confess about this assault on the day when he disappeared on March 1st, 2007. So they looked up at CCTV footage from the Wisbech police station, and they did find that there was a white van parked outside of the station. And a witness came forward and confirmed that they had seen this white van. However, there was no official record of Terry entering the police station.
And Jonathan, he had a car?
I don't know.
A white van?
I don't know about this. I wasn't able to find this information. So Jonathan also, during the time when, when Terry went missing, Jonathan began telling people that Terry went missing because of the alleged incident to Jonathan's girlfriend's daughter. And Helen, Terry's mother, firmly believed that her son would never harm a child. So another thing that I would like to mention about this incident with Jonathan's girlfriend's daughter is that I believe that Jonathan himself was accused of assaulting his girlfriend's daughter, but he believed that Terry was the one who assaulted the daughter, and Jonathan was supposed to have some sort of legal proceedings because of that assault, but he wanted to get Terry to Wisbech police station to confess so that Jonathan could get off the hook. I don't understand how that assault even happened. Wouldn't the young daughter easily point out who assaulted her?
Yeah, I was waiting for that information.
Yeah, it's missing.
Is there...
It's not coming. This
What?
information is not coming. It's just, this is what we have.
So the little girl was never interviewed. Maybe she was, and it's private.
I don't know what kind of an
Confidential.
assault it was. Maybe it was like some sort of an assault where someone like hit her from the back and ran away.
But then she would have remembered it.
Maybe it could have been, I'm thinking maybe Jonathan's girlfriend and her daughter, maybe they were at Jonathan's home at some point. And maybe it happened at night or something, blah, blah, blah.
And this girlfriend, did she ever speak to the police?
So I don't know any of this information about that whole legal proceeding. Due to the conflicting stories, and because he was the last person to see Terry alive, Jonathan was arrested in 2012. And he was treated as a suspect in a murder investigation. Terry's case had been changed into a murder investigation at that point. Despite extensive searches and inquiries, no body was ever found, and Jonathan was released eventually due to insufficient evidence. Years later, during a renewed inquest into Terry's disappearance, Jonathan was called to give evidence to the court. He stated that he had played darts with Terry on the night when he disappeared, and that the two of them went to Tesco. However, on legal advice from his lawyer, he refused to confirm whether the statement bearing his signature was indeed his, or whether its contents were truthful. I have no idea what that means, by the way. When the judge asked Jonathan directly what he knew about Terry's disappearance, he declined to answer on legal advice from his lawyers. Terry's mother, Helen, continues to fight for justice. She has never believed that her son simply walked away. She believes someone knows what happened, and she just wants closure. She says that she just wants to know where Terry is. And in 2013, a Crown Court judge threw out a murder prosecution on the grounds of insufficient evidence. This was the prosecution of Jonathan. And 3 years later, Norfolk Coroner's Court ruled that Terry most likely died the day that he disappeared. So they believe that he died soon after he was missing. What a bizarre story.
Extremely, yeah.
So many things don't make sense to me.
I completely agree. I would, like right now, all I could think of is Jonathan did it.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Well, I think let's talk a little bit about the night. Let's focus a little bit on the night when everything went down and how the timeline would even work. So a few things that jumped to me, I'm not gonna lie, a few things jumped to me immediately. So I kind of understand why Terry is out at the pub on Thursday, because, he has to stay inside the home for the next 2 days due to curfew. I completely understand it.
Definitely.
So I think I read somewhere that his electronic tag was supposed to be removed 2 weeks into the future.
Oh, so within 2 weeks
Yeah, sorry
of
for
his disappearance.
sorry for wording it in a weird way.
It's all good.
So I don't think Terry, let's say, would want to violate that predicament because he was almost done.
Yeah.
So he was playing it safe, going out on a Thursday. Now, I don't understand what is the reason for taking money from an ATM at 1 a.m. in Wisbech on a Thursday night. Just think about it.
This one, it's
never been mentioned why exactly they were at the ATM, but I have a weird suspicion that this could somehow be involved. Potentially, maybe not.
it's too hard to say really because there are so much possibilities.
But
So
what-
many possibilities.
What do you think? What could be the? I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but can you imagine any circumstance why Terry would get money out? Because I don't know what was like the drinking like regulations in the UK back in 2007. I know here after like a certain hour you can't really get any more alcohol anywhere.
But you could still drink in pubs.
But it seems like all the pubs were closed in Wisbech by by 1 a.m.
I don't know, honestly. This one's really tough to answer because of the lack of information, really. Because,
Maybe it was just a convenience thing. Maybe
yeah, maybe she needed money for the next day.
for the next day, and then maybe
Or maybe he needed to pay, I don't know, the rent the next day or something in cash.
that's actually a good point because oh man, that's a good catch because it was the 1st of March. Maybe it was like rent day or something.
Maybe it's something completely innocent. Maybe it's not. This one's just a little too tough to answer.
Yeah,
There could be so many possibilities.
actually, yeah, I agree with you.
It could be also something more sinister or something more suspicious. Maybe drugs were involved and the two boys were trying to meet someone.
That's an interesting perspective. It was never mentioned in my research anything about that. Did you run into like anything like that?
Not at all.
Then another thing that I'm finding pretty strange is that the electronic tag showed that Terry was still at the house at 8:43 a.m., but he never showed up for work. And
He could have
Jonathan
been unconscious.
is saying that he saw him leave by 7:10. Do you think Jonathan's lying?
Definitely.
You think Jonathan is lying about that?
I mean, he changed his story so many times.
Okay, I completely, I can't debate you on this one.
This could be an easy lie. Out of all his lies, like, he changed his story. Completely changed his story. Like, saying a random time of the day would be the easiest.
Yeah. He also mentioned that he locked the door when they came back home at 1:30 a.m. He locked the door and he took the keys with him and we went to bed. So does that, to me, that kind of sounds very like, like Jonathan has the keys. Do you know what I mean?
Like, there's only one set of keys.
Yeah, to me that's how it feels.
It feels like it, yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm even wondering why they were living together. Like, why were they roommates? Because of work? Was Terry from somewhere far away?
I think it's because Terry didn't want to live with his parents, and this was most likely like convenient.
They're from within the same area, right?
Yeah, I think they're like friends from like a while ago.
Because I don't know, if I wake up one day all wrapped up in industrial cling film, I'm out. I'm staying with my parents for a bit. I don't care. But the fact that he still stayed in the house where it happened is kind of pretty crazy to me.
It's strange. Like I've never went through anything like that in my life, so I can't really comment. But if I'm waking up all wrapped up in cling film,
And this is industrial. You can't just buy it in the store.
maybe you can.
Oh, come on. We go to a store right now. We could only buy those kitchen cling films.
Maybe in like
Like a packaging store.
like a
So it has to be specialized and niche.
yeah, like who even has that?
People who work in warehouse or packaging suppliers. I'm just
Yeah,
thinking of
yeah.
who would have an access to it.
Yeah, why would you even bring it back home? Like, what are you gonna do with it at home? There's no use for it.
Exactly.
So that's pretty strange for me. Okay, so I kinda feel very strongly that Terry was at the house until 8:43.
Me too.
And there were text messages sent from his phone, one to his girlfriend that, oh, I'm not coming back. It's all because of you. And another one to his boss that I'm not gonna go to work.
And these messages were sent in the morning
Yeah.
or at nighttime?
I think in the nighttime. I think like it's hard to say. I never found exactly when they were sent. But since we have these messages being sent, and since Terry's tag is showing that he left by 8:43, is it possible that, I don't know, Terry left on his own accord here? And
I don't
he,
know.
and he did as he said in the text message to his girlfriend that they're never gonna see him again. But then why would Jonathan, who in this scenario would be completely innocent, in such a scenario of Terry walks out on his own accord, why would he say that I remember seeing him leave at 7:10 and 7:10?
Going to work.
Yeah, and 7:10 is very specific. He didn't say like 7, and then he could later say, oh, maybe it was 8. I forgot. He said
7:10 is-
7:10, which is a very specific number.
Yeah, I do think why would, if we're completely going to believe Jonathan in this one, why would Terry leave at 7:10 and then send a message to the employer saying that he's going to quit?
Exactly.
He's quitting the job. It doesn't add up.
Exactly. If he left for work, why would he send a message that he's quitting? And Jonathan did play with the phone before,
Yeah.
so maybe he got access to it again.
I have a strange feeling.
Is Jonathan sending these text messages?
Yeah, I do have a strange feeling of that.
That
Maybe
Jonathan
he was
is
just
sending these text messages?
maybe he was just too sketchy. Maybe he's completely innocent. I don't know. I'm just assuming here that maybe Terry left the house or the home at 8:40, but might be unconscious.
So someone took his body out. That's what you're saying.
Yes, and I'm just assuming here. I'm just exploring the possibilities. Mainly because if we're gonna go with Jonathan's account, then he would have left for work. But no, he was there until 8:40. So I don't know. It really doesn't make sense to me.
Let's talk about Jonathan.
Okay.
Let's talk about Jonathan, what we know about this guy. So, we don't know much other than he's, I guess, same age range, a young person in his early 20s.
Do you have any pictures of him?
No. I don't have any pictures of him. I would assume he's in his early 20s now. The only other information I ever found mentioned about Jonathan was on Reddit. And there was a Reddit comment that was quite interesting to me. I'm going to find it for you. And I'm going to tell you what was written about Jonathan. Sorry, man.
That sounds like an oddly specific commentary, but let's hear it.
Okay, sorry. So I found it. So a username by the name Alpha Omega made a Reddit post on Terry's case, and this person did some research. At some point, they made a comment and they said that I believe Jonathan Porter, ran a bar for a while named after him. So basically, like Jonathan Porter Bar or something like that. Honestly, sounds like Jonathan Porter is the type of guy who would name a bar after himself. And he's also a well-known tradesman in Wisbech. Not sure about injectable like ketamine, but powdered ketamine. Okay, this is like
what is that?
This is some different things that this commenter is like referring to. But basically, this is the only mention that we have. Is that the person who did the research on Jonathan, and I couldn't find this information, so kudos to that person. He was a well-known tradesman in Wisbech, so maybe that would make sense why Jonathan has cling film, I'm thinking, even though it is more of like a packaging thing. It's still kind of like in the same
category.
Maybe you kind of like do something with that cling film. We know that Jonathan had a girlfriend. And the girlfriend had a daughter who had been recently assaulted, and somehow Jonathan was going to have legal proceedings over that assault, and he claimed after he was re-questioned when they reopened Terry's case that he took Terry to the Wisbech police station to make him confess so that he could get off the hook because he was innocent. That was like so bizarre, in my opinion, how he changed that story. And that seems like that's all we know. He did get arrested in 2012, so to me that tells me that police definitely know a lot more than we know. Like police have, I feel like, very like, maybe police even like were certain that he was responsible for Terry's disappearance, but they just couldn't.
They couldn't find any proof or evidence.
Enough evidence, yeah.
Inflict him.
But just because they arrested him, maybe they felt like he's a threat to the society or something.
Or maybe he's just not as innocent as he claims to be.
Yeah. And now the big elephant in the room. This is the big elephant in the room for, I think, a lot of people who are listening to us right now. And you're gonna have to, like, I'm gonna ask you a question. Do you think that Jonathan wrapped Terry in cling film?
Yes.
You think he wrapped him up 2 weeks before he went missing?
Yes. And usually I would give a person a benefit of the doubt, but I do think in this scenario I would lean more towards Jonathan did it.
Honestly, I can't disagree. I can't disagree because I'm trying to think what other possibilities could have happened. Someone randomly walks into Jonathan's house and they find a passed out Terry and they just wrap him up and leave him there.
And I don't know, from the information that we have, nothing was stolen.
Nothing was stolen. So I do think that maybe Terry was drugged. He was drinking beers. Maybe maybe Jonathan slipped something into his beers, then wrapped him up in a cling film. And I think at some point, Terry probably was passed out. He didn't even know what was happening, but at some point, maybe he started gaining conscious and started screaming. And then Terry just cut him open, and then Jonathan cut Terry open, and then Jonathan was like, "Oh my God, what happened to you?" When all along, Jonathan was the one
Who was doing it in the first
that
place.
weird crap in the first place.
I agree with that. And
Holy cow.
I also think of it that way, mainly because, once again, from the information that we have, there's only one set of keys, seems like. And Jonathan has it.
It's a very, very, like, kind of controlling environment. Jonathan following him with the girls, getting his phone open. But yeah, please finish what you were saying.
Oh, no. It's all good. I'm just saying, seems like from the information we have, there's only one set of keys, and it always is with Jonathan. There seems to be no signs of entry. Nothing was stolen. And just the fact that all of these three things, we have them. I don't know. It's kind of like pointing everything towards Jonathan being the culprit here.
Yeah.
Because if it's only like, if a window is broken, then sure, there would be like more questions. Like, yeah, maybe someone actually broke in, but there's nothing.
This is weird.
This is very weird. I must say, the only possibility that I could think of right now in which Jonathan didn't do it is if someone else did it, but Jonathan opened the door for them. There's people involved, but Jonathan
knows more.
Yeah.
And he was partly responsible. And even that sounds unlikely to me, because no one's ever mentioned. So it could be just Jonathan doing this whole thing.
I wonder what he was doing for work, though. Because if he was doing some warehouse or like packaging work, then that would be extra weird.
Well, it seems like he was a well-known tradesman.
Oh yeah, sorry, you mentioned it before.
Yeah. I'm immediately assuming that he's like a handy guy, knows how to fix stuff, maybe like carpenter, something like that.
Construction.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right, so there was a new development in Terry's case. Well, not in Terry's case, in general, in the vicinity. You could even say it was a development in Terry's case, and it's happening literally weeks ago. On May 18 of this year, so literally couple weeks ago or something like that, human remains have been found near Wisbech in a field by a passerby person. And police called Helen to tell her about it. It will take police some time, I don't know exactly how much time, they said it will take them a long time, to establish who the remains belong to, because they have to do tests. But there is a chance that they found the remains that belong to
Terry.
And I do have some pictures. Maybe you could take a peek. We have a bunch of pictures of police going through the fields, and I tried to find this exact location where the remains were found. I couldn't do it. But it seems to me like it's some sort of a agricultural field. Like I see, like, what are these, like parsleys or something? Probably not.
Like potatoes or something.
Yeah, like potatoes. Feels like police is walking around in potato fields. And this seems like a cultivated field. So a passerby, I don't know who would be a passerby in this field. Maybe like the farmer, the owner of this field. And this field is kind of like close to the main road.
Yeah.
That passes through Wisbech. So if you're gonna discard a body, actually this looks like a super convenient place to discard it.
But then it would have been obvious. But it took police so many years to
It took
find.
police so many years. I even went on Reddit, and some people, locals from that community, claimed that they were out there searching those exact fields with dogs and stuff like that shortly after Terry went missing, so they couldn't possibly understand how they missed those remains. So some people who were like searching, they think that these remains could potentially be like more recent, you know, like because they looked at these fields in 2007. And yeah, it looks like some sort of a, maybe like as you said, like a potato field.
Maybe, I'm just assuming.
Yeah, something, or a cabbage field, something like that, right? And the remains were just dropped there. But if this is a like cultivated field,
It should have been discovered way
it shouldn't
earlier.
be. It's been like 18 years since Terry went
Or do you
missing.
think there's a possibility that only the bones were left there?
Or like maybe a fragment.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it was just a fragment, and maybe like some wild animal kind of put it in a spot where someone was like actively working those fields, and now they're trying to find more fragments. You know, that could make sense to me. So we have this, and basically we have 3 missing people who could be the remains. So one of them is Terry McSpadden. We have another Latvian man named Maris Ile, who is missing from a nearby town of Kings Lynn since November of last year. And then we have Julie Buckley, who went missing in January of this year from Christchurch, a small town also in the general vicinity. So it could be that these remains are one of these people's remains. I think Maris and Julie's cases both are like investigated as murder cases. They even charged people for murdering them in one of them. So we'll see. I hope that it's one of these people, because if it's not, then that means more people are dead, which is not good.
Yeah.
So, man, hopefully it's one of these individuals whose family members could get some relief finally.
Definitely. But we'll know eventually, and for sure we'll make an update about it.
Oh, yeah, that's
It
for
will
sure.
provide an update about it.
Yeah, so that's all the information I have on the case of Terry McSpadden's disappearance. Now, I did go online on Reddit to kind of like get the general sentiment of what the people are saying. And I think a big portion of people are actually having like the same idea. And I'm gonna like tell you this one, and you tell me what you think about it.
Okay.
So a lot of people are thinking that, or at least several people on Reddit, that the whole cling film thing was some sort of a fetish by Jonathan.
I was supposed to mention something like that. It feels kind of like, you know, this TV show Dexter? It kind of has that vibe. Kind of like psycho vibe, murder-ish.
That Jonathan is this.
But it doesn't feel like anger, honestly. If we're going with this is a murder case, it doesn't feel like anger. Because he could have easily been like stabbed or something, or like the crime scene could have been like messier, brutal, or his disappearance, or maybe just disappeared. That's it. But the fact that a couple of weeks before he disappeared, he was wrapped in cling film. How long would it take you to wrap a person in cling film? And how tough would it be? Come on.
You have to like physically roll him around.
Yeah, Terry was a big guy.
6'1".
Surely it wouldn't be easy to like lay him flat on the ground, wrap him, and I don't know, prop him up or something.
Terry was definitely drugged. There's no way he wouldn't just wake up.
Yeah. I think so too.
So it's some sort of a fetish thing, because why else would you be wrapping up, why else would Jonathan be wrapping up Terry in cling film?
Do you think it could be some sort of stupid prank?
Joke? I think it could be.
That's a terrible joke though, but...
And you know what the people are commenting? They're saying that they think this could be a personal joke that went too far on March 1st. And this time Terry was killed. It could be that Terry was suffocating. And that's it. But the thing is, I'm pretty sure police probably looked at the house. So if Terry died, I mean, I guess they
There's
could...
an ankle monitor, no?
Yeah, there's an ankle monitor, but it wasn't really monitoring.
But like the ins and outs,
Yeah.
coming and going.
I am curious though, if Terry, if Jonathan knew, well, he clearly knew that Terry had that ankle.
Oh, definitely. It feels like he knows way more.
Why wouldn't Jonathan say that Terry left at 8:40? If he also like got rid of Terry's remains, why would he not tell police that he left at 8:40? Why did he have to say 7:10 a.m.? He knew that they discarded Terry's body way way later into the morning. Why would he tell police that, oh, I saw him leave at 7:10 when he knew that he like took the body out like an hour and 30 minutes after
Maybe
that?
he was hoping that the police would look at it more like like a normal disappearance. He went for work. By the way, the bike. You mentioned there was a bike. Was it found? Was it there?
No, the bike was never found. So it's almost like it's almost like, yeah, it feels like then Terry would have had to get rid of the bike as well. That's a good catch. I don't know what happened to the bike. Also, that would mean that Jonathan got rid of the bike.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense though, because I'm now trying to picture Terry leaving at 7:10 indeed with his bicycle going to work. But why would he send that message in advance, or maybe during that time he's going to work? Why would he send that message to Ian saying
he's done?
He's done. So it doesn't make sense immediately. Also, the ankle monitor showed 8:40. Also doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense, yeah. So it's starting, and since Jonathan was also, I want to remind everyone, he has been arrested in 2012. So police were so certain that they went out there and arrested him. They had no doubts about it.
And the only thing that saved him is the lack of physical evidence.
Yeah. Or evidence in general.
Yeah.
Something like that. So I think that, yeah, that's what probably police are thinking, that Jonathan was the one sending those text messages, and then he fabricated this whole thing. Now, the only thing that I don't understand is when he was reinvestigated, why did he change his story to say that he took Terry to police for questioning? I think maybe what I'm guessing is that Jonathan is really a very potentially, allegedly, Jonathan is a very lucky, dumb killer. Like, to me, everything seems like Jonathan is a lucky, dumb killer. Or like maybe it was an accident, but somehow by sheer luck, Jonathan managed to like get away, because it just looks like he's doing like, if he's responsible, he's doing stupid mistakes. He's changing his story. He's not like telling. He's telling police that he saw like Terry leave at 7:10. He already told so many lies early on, potentially, allegedly, that he has to work with those lies in the future, and he needs to keep track of what he's telling police. So maybe he's already forgetting what he said to police in 2007.
Because none of them are real.
Yeah, he already forgot the lies that he told police in 2007, so he's saying a completely different story in 2011, and they caught him, they arrested him, but there was not enough physical evidence.
Yeah.
So it's
If we're
very
going with
bizarre.
yeah, if we're going with this route that Jonathan was the killer,
Yeah.
it seemed planned, no?
For me, it doesn't.
It doesn't?
For me, it doesn't because they had the night out. They were walking
Come
back.
on, 2 weeks ago, Terry was wrapped.
Yeah. But then the question is, did Jonathan really, like, was everything because of that assault on Jonathan's girlfriend's, like, daughter? Was that the reason why, Jonathan got rid of Terry, allegedly? Because Jonathan was facing some sort of legal proceedings, and he wanted to clear his name, so they had a fight, and he accidentally maybe killed Terry and then fabricated everything? Or is Jonathan some sort of a, psycho who does like weird stuff like drugging his roommate, wrapping them up in cling film, and this time it just went bad? Maybe he was recently experimenting with this crazy stuff. 2 weeks prior, it kind of like backfired. He got shaken up about it, but then he got emboldened again, and then this time he took it full way and maybe like killed Terry.
I had a really creepy realization. Another possibility. And we're just exploring here. We know these are real people with real families and we want to be respectful, but I just want to like ask, do you think there's a possibility that Terry wasn't supposed to wake up when he was being wrapped in?
He was already supposed to be killed?
And that's why he was being wrapped in the industrial cling wrap.
Oh my god, they thought that he died already, but he woke up?
Yeah, he wasn't supposed to wake up. What if that was the case?
Oh my god. That's an interesting realization. It could be wrong.
Could be definitely wrong, hopefully.
Cause why else? Maybe they were already. Jonathan was already trying to get rid of Terry's body. And we're just speculating, man. I hope Terry is alive somewhere.
Yeah, hopefully.
I
really
hope,
hope so.
I want that to be the case, but that is an interesting thought,
Because why would you wrap someone alive in a cling wrap, in a cling film?
Yeah, why would you do that? Maybe they thought he was dead. Or
being Jonathan.
Yeah. Jonathan expected him to be dead.
And when he started screaming, that's when Jonathan came back and he was like,
Panicked.
oh, wait, what's happening?
Someone came in the house. What happened here? What? This is so crazy. And for me, it's like crazy that that Terry didn't get the hell out of that house.
I would disappear
Unless it's like not as
from Jonathan.
Unless it's not as crazy as we like imagine it. Maybe it was just like one roll.
Yeah, maybe it's not like completely tight and he couldn't move.
Because my imagination immediately like makes me think that he's like fully wrapped in a cocoon and he can't
Couldn't
move,
get
and
out.
then Jonathan's with a knife like trying to save his life. Like that's how I'm imagining. Maybe
I was imagining it more of like just the face being wrapped, and that's it.
the face.
Yeah, it's more of like at first I imagined it more of like, those kitchen cling wraps.
I was thinking that he's like cocooned. His whole body is wrapped.
Yeah.
You think his face got wrapped?
Initially, the way I pictured it, it was some sort of like a weird, funny, not really funny prank, and Jonathan or whoever did it wrapped Terry's head, wrapped some kitchen cling wrap around Terry's head, basically, just as a joke.
Man, that is crazy. to even think about.
Extremely crazy.
But what does that mean? That means that Jonathan is our prime suspect. I don't see anyone else.
I don't see anyone else. Or if there were, maybe, I don't know, drugs were involved, someone else was involved. All I know is, all I can think of right now is either Jonathan did it or whoever did it, Jonathan knew about it.
Do you see any other possibilities how this disappearance happened without Jonathan being involved? Like, for example, what jumps to my mind that, maybe Terry really did either wanted to self-harm because
or run away.
Or run away because those text messages kind of do indicate that he's like starting a new life or is gonna end his own life because his bike is missing.
I want to know more about this. Like, are there more things that were missing?
Yeah. I would like to know.
Right? Before we make this conclusion.
Yeah.
Or this idea. I want to know if there are other things missing. Like, did he pack his bags? Or
yeah, because Jonathan could be completely innocent. I know we were like beating on Jonathan pretty heavy on this podcast, but honestly, according to the judge, Jonathan is innocent unless proven guilty. So Jonathan could be completely innocent. Is there a possibility that Terry actually left at 7? I don't know, 7:10 or maybe
7:10, yeah.
Or maybe like, I don't know, like 8:40, but Jonathan was like drunk and he doesn't remember exactly when when Terry left, so he would just said like 7:10 randomly, but in fact it was already 8:40 because like when you had a night out on Friday morning, maybe you don't remember much, and that Terry, told Jonathan, "Oh, I'm off to work," but in reality, Terry went to end his life. Is that a possibility? Could Terry be completely innocent, and all of this could just be Terry voluntarily ending his life?
That's a very good question, but honestly, there's not much information about it.
I'm still gonna say this. I'm still leaning towards that this is somehow Terry's involvement.
Could be the case though, but how come his bike was never found?
Yeah. And yeah, that's true. Where would he go?
Yeah, where would he go? It's a small is it a town or a city?
Wisbech is like a town.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a city, it's like a town. And
where would he go then?
Where would he go, yeah. So I think probably enough speculation on Terry McSpadden's case.
I hope he's alive. I hope he's well. And if not, I hope he's resting in peace.
Thank you, Ms. Bella, for suggesting this case. Please suggest any cases.
Yeah, we enjoyed researching this one. We enjoyed speculating. And to our listeners, we hope that you did too. And we're always welcoming suggestions and comments. It will take us a little while to go through everything, but we're trying. Before
we wrap up, I would like to, talk a little bit quick mention about last week's case, Lilly and Jake Sullivan's case. Do you remember?
Yes. Two little cute kids.
Two children who have been missing for, I think today, I could be wrong here, but as we record, today could be exactly 1 month into their disappearance. The two Nova Scotia siblings who have been missing. The only reason why I would like to do this quick little update is that we did have another piece of information coming out of Lilly and Jack's case, and that little piece of information that came out literally right after we uploaded the podcast was that the two of them, the two children, actually have been seen with their parents, with the family members, the day before they disappeared. So remember, there was a timeline that there was a no school day, and then after the no school day...
No, wait. they were sick, and then no school day.
I think it was no school day,
and then they were sick.
And they were
Okay,
sick. If
sorry.
I remember correctly, it was no school day, and then there were 2 days sick, and then we were kind of conveniently thinking that maybe the parents could be somehow hiding the fact that something already happened to those kids, and they're just kind of like hiding their tracks. No, in fact, they had been seen in public with family members 1 day earlier, before they disappeared. So this makes it, I don't know what that means to us. That means that means that
It just shortened the timeline.
it just shortens the timeline. What does that mean? That means that the family is not hiding something already days in advance. So it kind of like takes, so let's say that takes a little bit of suspicion off from the parents.
I would say so, sure. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, honestly. Because remember, like the two little kids walking into the wilderness backyard, the
Yes.
stepfather immediately driving around, going like into waterways, like it just doesn't look good, man. Still doesn't look good, but I guess it from the looks of it, it shortens the timeline, and it kind of like removes at least a little bit of suspicion off from the parents. But I'm still thinking that the parents are suspicious at this point. So nothing changed there too much.
I'm still thinking that there's a possibility that they got lost in the forest.
You're open to that possibility.
Yes. Because it's very easy to get lost in the wilderness,
That's true. It's just things that don't make sense in that case for me. Like, for example, why are the kids going into the forest in the first place? They're like
Adventurizing.
but they're little kids, And,
Yeah, the only thing that doesn't make sense in this regard for me is how far could they have gone?
Lily was 6 and Jack was 4. So 4-year-old kid, how much distance could a 4-year-old kid make? And then not a single, nothing found.
And it's been a month.
And it's been a month. So I don't think this necessarily changed. I think the only thing that this changes from the suspicion point of view is that maybe whatever happened to those kids happened kind of like on the day when they went missing, or like maybe 1 day prior. So it could be actually the night. It could have been the night before they were announced missing. And I guess that's rational. Even if the parents would be somehow involved, I think it would make sense for them to like not wait too long. Like, are they gonna like spend days planning it out? If they were responsible, from the looks of it, they didn't look like planners. They didn't look like they were like
They look like they're living day to day.
yeah, but specifically what I'm trying to say is that they didn't look to me like they would spend 2 days concocting a plan. If they are responsible somehow, they would just go in and just like see what happens. Anyways, I don't want to speculate too much because they could be completely innocent. And maybe the children are still alive. That would be amazing.
That would be the best.
Yeah, that's the update. Okay, thank you guys for listening to the podcast. It's been a good show again. Thank you for joining us. We will catch you on the next episode.
And as always, let us know what you think. Any comments, suggestions, negative or positive reactions, we're completely open with that. Leave us a like, please, and we'll see you very soon.
We'll see you soon, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.